The ungodly amount of fraud in this country. Let's check it out. Welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. The White House's new anti-fraud task force quickly getting to work in Los Angeles overnight, scoring 8 arrests and shattering a $50 million health fraud scheme, one of so many. This one, sham hospice centers. One example, a SoCal hospice where 97% of the patients were still alive after 5 years. How could that be, you ask? Well, because the patients were never actually even there. Just elderly Americans with their information stolen and then used by fraudsters. In the U.S., scams like this are absolutely everywhere. We're just getting our eyes open to just how bad it is. The amount of fraud in this country is insane. Investigative journalist Chris Rufo says experts contend in California, $180 billion with a B. Most of that is federal dollars, our money, has been stolen out of the state of California just since Gavin Newsom has taken office. $180 billion. If there's one thing the Trump administration will be remembered for, it is revealing to Americans that your government has zero respect for the trillions that it takes from your paychecks. Take a look.
California is more corrupt than any place.
What we have learned is there's roughly $3.5 billion of fraud taking place here in Los Angeles in hospice and home care.
And hundreds of millions of dollars that California is spending on homelessness is going to fraud.
It went to pay for luxury goods, shopping sprees, expensive cars.
Driving around luxurious cars that cost more than $100,000.
This is the sound of hospice money.
Just some of what we've gotten over the last several months. We are inundated with stories of fraud. So many that you don't even know where to turn anymore. There's just more. More of your money lit on fire. More of your money is gone in a government that has had zero interest in stopping this trend for a very long time. They just demand more money from you. Higher taxes, they call you un-American if you don't want to pay. And if they catch you not paying, what happens to you? You go straight to jail. But at the same time, there's no punishment for our leaders who willfully allow our money to be stolen by the hundreds of billions of dollars. Does that make any sense to you? Did you know that in California at one point the state had more people applying for unemployment insurance than it had residents in the state over the age of 18 that could apply? More applications than people. Yes, that's the scale of fraud in this country. The Medi-Cal fraud, mostly federal money again, so just because it's in California doesn't mean it's not your money. It's all of our money. It's federal dollars. Medi-Cal estimated to be more than the budget of 27 states in our country. The fraud of Medi-Cal, health care for homeless people and poor people in California, the fraud alone is more than the budget of 27 states. Our health department says New Zealand's entire annual budget, a nation on this planet, is smaller than the amount of health care fraud that we have seen in California under Gavin Newsom. That's how much of your money is being stolen. Everything is being stolen. Food stamp spending has doubled in California under Gavin Newsom. And although California appears to be the epicenter of this fraud, it's certainly the worst state. These stories have come pouring in from so many different corrupted blue states. Take a listen to the news.
A CBS News investigation found it is ripe for fraud, especially in California.
Yeah, you can't throw a rock without hitting a hospice.
Defendant was sentenced in a COVID fraud scheme and involved 600 victims and millions of dollars.
He's accused of living the high life to the tune of $23 million instead of using public and taxpayer funds to help the homeless.
Prosecutors say more than 100 pregnant women from Turkey came here to give birth, so their children were instantly granted U.S. citizenship.
Investigators say the women then used benefits like Medicaid.
That's just a montage that we could drum up today. That's just some of what we could find, clippings and things like that. In Minnesota, just this week, a Somali woman sentenced to only 6 months in prison in order to pay back the $500,000 she stole from Feeding Our Future, stealing money that we were all gullible enough to send to feed little kids in Minneapolis. If there's anything If there's anything in need in Minneapolis, be quite suspect of it at this point. Members of this woman's family, Somali, of course, stole nearly $6 million. One of her buddies, Abdul Ali, got that 1-year prison sentence that went viral this week. 1 year for stealing millions of dollars. The Somali community stole billions from all of us, federal dollars, using Minnesota's incompetent state as a vessel to federal funds. Yes, some of the most uneducated people in the world have found it to be quite easy to steal billions of your dollars because your government has zero interest whatsoever in protecting the money that they steal out of your paycheck. That's how little they care. Somalians have figured it out. People like Tim Walz and Keith Ellison knew this was happening. They did nothing because why would you ever torment a very important voter base? It's not your money. What do you care if billions of federal dollars are being stolen? They're voting for you. And that mentality is endemic in our government, a government that wants to grow larger. Do you think they care if certain amounts of money were stolen? No. Just we need more money. We want to grow the machine. We need to grow the tumor needs to get bigger. Everyone knows this is happening and nobody cares. California's state budget has doubled in just a number of years. In less than 10 years, the budget to run the entire state has doubled, and nobody seems to care. It now takes more than $300 billion to run the state of California for a year. It was $180 billion just before COVID. That was only 6 years ago. And nobody cares. Somehow nobody cares. They just keep electing Democrats. Imagine a company in a matter of 5 years staying the same size with the same revenue, the cost of operations just doubles. Do you think that would ever happen in the private sector? Do you think anybody would ever allow that to happen? Ask Gavin Newsom about all of this. He has a slick answer and just changes the subject.
Hospice, we've been after that for years and years before Oz was even on the scene. We've been after this for years and years and years. We want an open hand, not a closed fist. We absolutely are here to be a partner to go after waste, fraud, and abuse. I started something called ODI, Office Digital Innovation. I did not, my mistake, do it with a chainsaw. We just began the Office of Digital Innovation, and we started to begin a process of reforming our procurement and our strategies on technology across the board, but also on the issues of waste, fraud, and abuse. No one's denying these issues. But let's also not deny this is purely political.
Purely political. Hundreds of billions of our dollars. How hard did you work for that money? Stolen, gone. He couldn't care less. That's a total BS answer. He's doing nothing about this problem. He's just practicing. What he's doing about this problem is practicing that answer. An answer he's practiced 1,000 times. He should be in jail, along with a lot of other people that run that state. Medi-Cal spending, again, mostly federal money, our money, has doubled on Newsom's watch, from $93 billion to $196 billion in a matter of years as the population of the state went down. Spending on poor people's health care doubled. When this was tweeted at him, by the way, on X, his drones reply with insults to the person that tweeted it at them and claim services expanded, new programs launched, and inflation. You've never heard of these things? That's the excuse for health care for poor people doubling in 7 years? Doubling? Is it going to double again in another 7 years? Will California soon spend $1 trillion on health care for the poor? Is that where it's going? Should we expect that? If that's acceptable for the last 7 years, why wouldn't it double every 7? You wonder if that state is even salvageable at this point, or have all the agents of change moved to Florida and Texas? They've lost so many Republican voters. It's probably too far gone. Why on earth would anyone pay taxes to a government that behaves this way, that allows a state like California to operate and continues to fund the state of California? Why does our federal government keep sending money to any of these states? Why would we send a single penny to Minnesota, to California, New York, Illinois? Why give them any money at all? Who is going to continue to pay taxes in a country that does this, that cares so little about the money that it takes in? Couldn't care less at all. If it's stolen, if it's taken, if it's wasted, nobody cares. You kill yourself. You work till probably at least March or April for the federal government. Some of us work till June for the federal government. All that time, every year, every day. Work, 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 work. What do? They piss it away. We have buildings full of fake hospices. Entire buildings Imagine 50 hospices all at the same address in a city, billing our government for hundreds of millions of dollars. How easy this is to find. Nick Shirley found it, a kid with a camera, finds it all over the place. Government didn't find it, didn't care. Nobody cares, nobody's watching. Until right now, there's been zero infrastructure to stop something that everybody knew was happening. Everyone knew this was happening. And until this new fraud coalition with J.D. Vance at the top, there's been no effort. Nobody's cared. They just take more of your money. More. They tax everything. They tax your paycheck. And then when you spend money, they tax it. They tax it every single chance they get. Every single time money transacts, they just tax more of it. And then they just add a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Meanwhile, we're just being gutted from the inside. Everything's being stolen from us. Nobody cares. They just pay. Pay up, and if you don't, we put you in jail. There are now efforts in the state of California to lower the penalties for fraud. Efforts to lower the penalties after everything I just told you. Take a look.
California's safety net is meant to offer stability and opportunity, but for thousands of low-income families, it has become a legal trap that punishes them for being poor and maybe having minor oversight. A missed deadline or small paperwork error can lead to felony charges, tearing families apart and pushing them deeper into poverty, even when there's no intent to deceive.
The musings of people that have hyperactive sympathy and empathy receptors and absolutely no intellect or brain at all. Those are the people that run California. Again, I ask, in a situation like this, why on earth do we pay taxes in this country? Carl Demaio is the California State Representative. Katie Zacharia, California resident, both with us tonight. Carl, I'll start with you. These stories are just everywhere. I'm going to just go through a few more headlines. California doctor billed a whopping $35 million in hospice care to Medicare last year, has billing license revoked. Orange County man helped in $270 million Medi-Cal scam involving medication reimbursement. California's Employment Development Department allegedly paid out hundreds of millions of dollars in fraudulent claims and prisoner names to prisoners, including at least 133 who are on death row. What has happened to that beautiful state, Carl?
We have become a state that governed by a supermajority of Democrats. There is no balance. There's no check and balance because the Democrats control every level of power. And now that we are exposing fraud, they know that with the truth coming out, people could actually go to jail. So what does the California State Senate decide to do? And just decide to eliminate any sort of prosecution or punishment for committing fraud. That senator that you just played the clip of, she wants to waive any criminal enforcement as long as you steal less than $25,000 a year in welfare fraud. You should be able to get a free pass. The reason why she's offering that bill is because she knows the truth is about to come out. We have all these citizen investigators out there. The proof is going to be out there for all to see. The federal government's going to be putting information out there. And so what she's trying to do is take away the tools from the prosecutors of the state of California to go after these criminals so they get off scot-free. We know exactly what her mode is, and that is exactly what her bill would achieve. We are looking at hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud. Much of it, as you just noted, is a national story because it's federal taxpayer money.
Yeah, it's our money. Yeah.
And when the governor says this is all being politicized, kindly BS. This is happening on his watch. And the worst reason why this continues, the politicians themselves are involved in the fraud. They are money laundering taxpayer money to political groups. So why would they enforce fraud regulations against people doing it on welfare when the politicians themselves are doing it for political contributions?
Exactly right. That we've known for a long time. They send a lot of money into green energy. They know they're getting it back. It's all just a scam, and they're all in on it. And at best, they look the other way. Katie, at some point, you got to start throwing the people that are allowing this to happen to our money in jail. And until we grow a pair in this country, until our DOJ figures out how to actually prosecute people, and maybe that's changing as we speak, this won't stop.
Well, we're grateful to have U.S. Attorney Bill O'Saley out in Los Angeles, who will be absolutely the prosecutorial arm for President Trump. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Todd Blanche. I think he's going to be excellent, and we're going to see a lot more prosecutions on fraud, in my opinion. J.D. Vance ahead of this is absolutely necessary, but what it really calls into question is, why do we have to have the federal government continuing to do the job of Gavin Newsom? He can't govern the state. He can't control the money. And now he has to have the federal government both bail him out on all of his projects and investigate his fraud. Even people from his own party, like Ro Khanna, have said there has to be a widespread fraud investigation into California and Gavin Newsom. This is a disaster for him. And I can't believe he's spearheading a presidential run and thinking he can get away with all of this.
And Katie, the fury that when he says it's being politicized, this should be a scandal so big it ends his career. And just hearing about it, he calls it political. It's unfathomable. And my last question to you, Carl, is, the idea that what they're trying to do now at Treasury is saying we're gonna pay people to call it out. We're going to say, if you give us a tip, we're going to give you some of the money of whatever the penalty is. I think that's absolutely brilliant. And I hope that they are inundated with phone calls.
Yeah, we need to have fraud hotlines. We need to reward people who are whistleblowers, who come forward with the evidence. It's not hard. It's in plain sight. Yeah. Do you know that there's 800,000 Californians? It's the largest employment program. The largest job category in California is a family member being given welfare benefits to be an in-home health care aide to another family member. We're talking about people who are now paying union dues. And where do the union dues go? Into a political fund to elect more Democrats, to raise your taxes and give more money out. This is a scheme. It is money laundering, legalized, and we need to crack down on it.
Yeah. The Democrat Party is a scheme. That's what we've learned. They've abandoned this country. They are out for power, and that is about it. Katie, Zacharia, and Carl Demaio, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
President pledges to send Iran back to the Stone Age. Rick Grenell on that, up next.
We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong.
And then later in news from the left, Trump describes him as a dried prune.
In the hands of a corrupt, incompetent, racist, reckless, and treasonous administration.
Whenever news breaks.
A lot of destruction there. It was really the front lines in the battle.
And wherever it happened.
And humanitarian corridors opened up this morning.
We're trying to go rescue a 96-year-old lady that doesn't have anybody to take care of her.
They're using ingenuity. They refuse to give up.
That's incoming fire. Come on. Yeah, let's get down here.
Newsmax is there for you.
To a hacker, your tax return isn't just paperwork, it's a gold mine. Your social security number and bank data are their biggest payday of the year. Old antivirus software can't keep up. You need PCmatic. Our default deny technology blocks every single threat that hasn't been pre-approved. If we don't know it, we block it. Secure your return right now. Buy PCmatic antivirus and we will give you PCmatic VPN for free. American-made security for homes, businesses, and government agencies. Visit PCmatic.com.
Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America. Do you know which investment has outperformed almost every other asset class since the beginning of last year? And that Goldman Sachs research is now forecasting to reach further heights. That's right, it's gold. Central banks around the world continue to buy gold at record levels due to economic turmoil, foreign conflicts, and a weakening U.S. economy plagued by debt. If you're concerned how to protect yourself as our financial system weakens, our team at Swiss America has a solution. For over 40 years, we've helped people just like you purchase precious metals for home delivery and for your IRAs. Don't miss out before this next big price jump. Call or text Swiss America at the number on your screen to receive your free portfolio review and a copy of The Timeless Truth About Gold and Silver. Let us show you how easy it is to safeguard your money. Call or text Swiss America today.
We are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly. We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong.
Trump's address on Iran last night, pledging to send the jihadist regime running Iran back to the Stone Age where they belong, while maintaining that the war should wrap up here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. The president sharing this video earlier today showing the aftermath of a strike on the tallest bridge in the Middle East. You can see the dark smoke there against the mountain. Trump writing, the biggest bridge in Iran comes tumbling down, never to be used again. Much more to follow. And it's time for Iran to make a deal before it's too late and there is nothing left of what still could become a great country. With that, we have Rick Grenell, the president's envoy for special missions, and it's good to have you back on, Rick. Let's start right there. What did you make of the speech last night? What do you think we're doing here for the next 2 to 3 weeks to end this thing?
Well, first of all, isn't it refreshing to have a president that actually can mix strength with diplomacy? And that's exactly what we're seeing from President Trump. Look, we've been in this cycle for 20 plus years with Iran, where presidents do a little bit and then Iran misreads it or let's be honest, dupes past presidents.
Right.
And then we go right back to terrorism and killings of Americans. This has been a 20 plus year problem since I've been in politics. I was at the UN for 8 years. We were talking about the exact same cycle with Iran. President Trump comes in, tries diplomacy, pushes them hard to say, let's do a serious moment where you give up your nuclear weapons and you stop threatening and you stop doing terrorism. They don't want to do that. So the president of the United States, Donald Trump, is fixing the problem. And I love the fact that he's doing this in a very short period of time. He says, look, we've got to fix this problem. It's not going to be great in the short term, but it needs to be fixed, and it will be good for us in the long term. Not only to stop the national security threats against America, but gas prices, our allies in the region. All of these reasons are why the president decides to fix the problem, not kick the can down the road.
You got to give him points for that. You know, he's taken a lot of grief on this thing. I think they knew this wasn't going to be popular because everybody knows how Trump has talked about Middle East war. I mean, he made a name for himself by just destroying the Bush dynasty due to war. So they knew this wasn't going to be popular, but they also knew it's like, I mean, at some point, this decision to delay dealing with this issue was going to bite us right on the butt. And they knew that. And that moment was coming. And when it did come, everybody would then retrospectively look back and say, well, why didn't we do something? They were building this arsenal. We knew they were building all these ballistics. They were able to get ballistics all the way into Europe. They were trying to protect this, burgeoning nuclear program that they were creating. Why didn't we do something about it before it was too late? That's how it would have gone. Now, I don't know if it would have been as soon as he says, but at some point in the future, this would have happened. You got to give him points for doing the right thing, because the reason nobody else did it is exactly this. Because look at his approval rating right now. People don't like this war. Nobody wanted to deal with this problem. Doing the right thing comes at a cost.
Well, look, I think there's no question that people don't like war. Every single president before Donald Trump has been unwilling to fix the problem. You look at the border, you look at Iran, you look at Venezuela. This is a president who goes in and fixes the problem. He doesn't just sit around and complain or do a little bit. He's not a seat warmer president. He is somebody who gets in there and fixes problems. Let me tell you one thing that I know about Donald Trump. I know Donald Trump is very serious about diplomacy. He tries it, but it's not an endless diplomatic cycle. Yeah. There is an end to it. You don't move, and then he does, and he fixes the problem. Thank God we have a president who's willing to do strong diplomacy and military action when necessary.
I want to get to two more things with you, and I only have a minute to do it. Real quick on NATO, the president is very upset with NATO. Mark Rutte's coming next week. He's going to stay in, right? He's just making some noise, is what I imagine how this will go.
Well, look, we've been saying since the first term that NATO is a real problem, because we have members of NATO, the alliance, that do not pull their fair share. They expect the United States taxpayer to do all the work to pay for it, and they don't want to help. And we have seen this with the Iran war. I think it needs a drastic reform. President Trump is right to say, look, it's not working for us right now.
Yeah, well said. And then I thought this was maybe the most interesting headline to come out of this today was 2 gay Iranian men seeking asylum in the U.S. over fear they could be executed in Iran are facing an uncertain future. We have a lot of people on the left that are frankly rooting for Iran in this country. And these are the same people that are fully aligned with the LGBTQ agenda. And at the same time, you have two gay men that can't even go back to Iran because they'll be killed. Isn't it so interesting to see how the left is just a constant hypocrisy?
It's totally true. And let me just tell you something else that the left hasn't done in the last 6 years, which is help us get out gays and lesbians in Iran who want to get out and want to go somewhere. They don't come to the United States, but there are plenty of other places that will take them. There's an underground system. The left has never helped us with that. We have been able to do that in a quiet, concerted way. We will continue to do that to provide safety. But the left's hypocrisy has been so real to me for so many years, specifically on this issue. It's not getting better.
It's boundless. It is just another of so many examples that we see. Rick, good to see you. Thanks so much.
See you, Rob.
Eric Swalwell's been screaming for transparency for months. Why is he so angry when it comes to his own case?
It shows an obsession with going after the president's political opponents.
A new president is sworn in. America's greatness is restored. Millions of Americans are tuning in to Newsmax. Even President Trump says Newsmax is terrific. Watch Newsmax or download our free app on your TV or phone today.
What if your GLP-1 for weight loss was as easy to take as a mint? Small, discreet, and easy. Think about that. No needles. This is compounded tirzepatide, a mint-flavored tablet designed to fit into your daily routine. You simply let it dissolve under your tongue. No mixing, filling, or storing your own syringes. Tirzepatide helps curb appetite and supports healthier eating by reducing cravings, including for sweets and carbs. And when your appetite feels under control, it can make it easier to eat less and move intentionally towards your weight loss goals. If weight loss has been on your mind, this may be the needle-free option you've been looking for. A simple daily tablet, as easy to take as a mint. Getting started is fast and surprisingly accessible. Just complete a quick online physician consultation. Here's how.
Save $50 with promo code SLIM at noneedles.com/slim. That's promo code SLIM at noneedles.com/slim.
Mike Hammond here, founder of Signal Relief. Meet Dr. Beth Dupree, breast cancer surgeon for over 35 years.
In my surgical career, I have treated thousands of patients, and finding effective pain relief has always been a priority. Believe me, I was skeptical, but Signal Relief caught my attention because it actually works. Clinical trials show over 85% of participants felt relief within 72 hours, with nearly half noticing a significant difference in just 15 minutes. Just place it near or above wherever you have the pain, whether it's your back, your shoulder, your neck, or your knee. Signal Relief Patch brings proven relief. I recommend it to my patients, family, and friends, and I get to witness and experience their pain relief firsthand, and that brings a smile to my face.
Join the hundreds of thousands who have experienced relief with the Signal Relief Patch, and it comes with a money-back guarantee. Trust Dr. Dupree and me. The patch works.
When my mother heard about Pure Talk's latest offer, she said, "Michael, that's a third of what I'm paying my current provider. How's that even possible?" I said, "Ma, your current provider spent $12 billion last year on advertising and promotion. Pure Talk hired me to make a few commercials on my iPhone. That's why you can get unlimited talk and text with plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. You're welcome. Pure Talk. Everything you need. Nothing you don't."
One tiny candle illuminates 1,000.
Awaken! A Great Awakening. Rated PG-13.
My heart has experienced life-changing wins, losses, and countless miles. To keep living at my speed, I trust Grenell CoQ10. CoQ10 is the #1 cardiologist-recommended supplement for heart health. Grenell, the brand I trust.
Every day, bumps and bangs happen. Bruises are optional. Use daily dermatologist-recommended Dermend and reduce the appearance of bruises. Get Dermend Moisturizing Bruise Cream in the first aid aisle.
It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler is once again alive and well.
This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
It shows an obsession with going after the president's political opponents.
This story is raising new concerns about whether the FBI has become a political tool of the Trump White House. Some of my sources are comparing this to the bad old days of FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover.
If they do this, it'll be the greatest abuse of power by an FBI director since J. Edgar Hoover.
Oh. Running for governor in California to try and ruin the state, to try and really finish it off, you've got Eric Swalwell. And Swalwell, the congressman, is in big trouble. Now threatening legal action against the FBI as the agency contemplates publicly releasing the files involving his decade-old relationship with the suspected Chinese spy known as Fang Fang. Swalwell, who assisted with and cheered on the full weaponization of our government against our current president and tried to use the government to cancel out competition for his political party, gets very upset when karma, also known as Trump, comes back around. The liberal media is panicking as well. From the Washington Post, Kash Patel's push against Democratic lawmaker raises concerns within the FBI. The lengths that Patel's circle is going to in the bid to pursue a political foe of the president have raised alarms within the Bureau. The New York Times, their headline reads, the FBI said to dig up old investigative files on Democratic lawmaker. There's a lot of outrage over this happening right now. Where was all of this outrage when the government is being fully weaponized against Trump and Republicans, as it so often has been in recent years? Ironically, Swalwell is furious over transparency now, which is also interesting because he has been demanding transparency from government for months in regards to another case.
He's trying to bury the Epstein files. The president is not implicated. Why not release everything? He won't release it. I see it as the best disinfectant is sunlight, but sunlight will not work when all the names have been blacked out. So release the files.
Hey, brother, if you didn't do anything wrong, release the files, man. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Let's see the Fang Fang files because we know you did nothing wrong. Because the smelly frat boy would never have an affair with a Chinese spy. Ed Henry joins us now, fresh from the 5 o'clock show here on Newsmax. Good to see you, Ed. How funny is this to watch?
It's sad in a way because he's such a hypocrite. He's also been saying, they're weaponizing the government against me, Kash Patel and Donald Trump, when there's all kinds of sound bites from Swalwell in recent months saying, Democrats are going to take back the House, and we're going to weaponize the government against Trump and Kash, and they're going after everyone. You know this, I know this, everyone in our audience knows. They want to get back to weaponization so fast. They tried to put Donald Trump in prison. It failed. He won the landslide election, and the Democrats think if we win the midterms, we're going after him again. And so now you go after him and hold him accountable, and he freaks out. You know what? This is why Swalwell, in my estimation, is going to lose the governor's race out there in California. Politico has a screaming headline today. Steve Hilton or Chad Bianco, the two Republicans, they're leading in the polls right now because people, even in liberal California, are tired of all this BS.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard, I mean, you know, none of it's has made it into the papers yet, but I've heard a lot about the behavior of Eric Swalwell that I imagine is at some point will come out. And that's all I'm going to allege there. But I've read a lot of stuff about this guy.
We should get transparency. Where are the files, Rob Schmitt?
Right,
we want the files.
Well, I mean, if you want the Epstein files out, okay, fine. And I agree with that. But I think we should see the Fang Fang files too. You did nothing wrong. It's just going to exonerate you, Eric. Why are you so angry? Why are you screaming at Kash Patel and holding press conferences? Why are you freaking out if you did nothing wrong? It's just funny. I want to show, what's his name? The old guy, Carville, James Carville. Take a listen to this one.
The old guy.
Yeah.
Then they're going to start going after you. Then they're going to start figuring out where all the money stolen is. Then they're going to go after you stupid jack kids and their spouses and all the other bull that you see. And they're going to investigate out of you.
All right. So I guess Democrats are coming after Trump and his kids and their spouses and the families. They opened up this box, right?
Yeah, they have one play. It's like get Trump, get his family. Now the spouses, the grandkids are next. I mean, Kai Trump's out there. She's just a golfer at the University of Miami, posting nice videos. They're going to go after her. Yeah. And I'm only half joking. It's sick what these leftists do. And meantime, think about the hypocrisy there as well. Hunter Biden was not a kid. He was an adult who was doing coke. He was stealing money, essentially, bribes. He wasn't registering properly as a lobbyist. And they let him get away for years until finally the government cracked down. He didn't pay his taxes and all the rest. Gun charges, you name it. And that was Joe Biden's son selling access to the Biden family. And all these hypocrites like James Carville look the other way.
Something else. It is something else. Before I let you go, our friend Don Lemon has considerations that he could be a fantastic president of the United States. He knows exactly what to do. Imagine the policies of a Don Lemon presidency before I let you go.
You know, I worked with Don Lemon years ago. Yeah. Back then, I thought he was a decent newsman and an honest guy. We had a good personal relationship. And what I've seen is the radicalization of Don Lemon. And this has happened at CNN, where I used to work. They were radicalized by Donald Trump, by one man. And his policies, you know, he's the guy who went into that church. There were children in that Minnesota church who were down at Sunday school, and these crazy leftists led by Don Lemon, he's been indicted over this, obviously. He's facing criminal charges, so we'll see, innocent until proven guilty, but he's going to have to defend himself for this. And they were telling the kids, you know, your parents are Nazis and all that. The kids were crying at Sunday school. This man wants to be president. Give me a break.
Yeah. You know what I think really did it was, I think for decades, this country has been just slowly getting pulled, I guess it's this way, to the left. We've just been, I mean, the line used to be here, and we've just been, even when we've had Republican presidents, you've seen it, between the media and the apparatus in Washington, we've been pulled to the left. Bigger government, more entitlements, all of these different things, globalism, open borders. And when Trump came in, he laid that marker down and said, we're not doing this anymore. And he started moving it the other way. And I think they all just lost their minds, because I think they got very comfortable knowing that this country was moving one direction.
Yeah, there used to be a line, too, between the Democrats and the government, you know, the insiders, the swamp creatures. But that line has also now come together, because when you went after, you know, Donald Trump and Doge went after USAID, we found out there were all kinds of Democrats and media people in cahoots with these Democrats to live off the government largesse. And that line has narrowed as well. Because the Democrats, they're part, you know, and the media, they're part of the liberal elite establishment in Washington, period.
And this wrecked all their plans were wrecked by one guy who they hate so much. And that's one of the biggest reasons we love him. Ed Henry, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Could the Democrats' corrupt fundraising machine finally go down? We've got a big update on Act Blue up next.
I'm Michael Savage, and I was conservative before conservative was cool. Do you realize how crazy the liberals in this country have become? I do. You want to get me started today? I'll get started. Watch Michael Savage and the Savage Nation every Sunday night.
What's gold is new again. Pardon the pun. But considering gold has been used as currency since around 550 BC, it has been on fire the past year. I'm here with Daniel Boston, the founder of Preserve Gold. Why is gold so stable and such a good investment for many people?
Take the central bank, for example, the Federal Reserve. They print money out of thin air, and then they take that printed money to go buy hard assets like gold to protect themselves against the very risks that they're creating. So I always tell people, don't do what the big players are telling you to do. Do what they're doing themselves.
Yeah, watch what they're doing.
That's correct.
Okay. If people are interested in investing with Preserve Gold, how do they get started?
Text Newsmax to 50505 to get your free information and up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase. That's right. Text Newsmax to 50505.
All right. No way you can miss it.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. The government needs more money, your money. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Don't let the IRS target you. Call the professionals at Tax Network USA. Their tax lawyers and enrolled agents are experts in powerful programs that may even help you eliminate your tax debt.
Call for a free consultation or visit tnusa.com.
I lost 110 pounds. You couldn't tell at all because of my excess skin. Sono Bello changed that in one visit.
Introducing the new Lift EX, the just one visit, total body transformation everyone is talking about.
I am super happy with my results.
I decided to give Sono Bello a try. Look at me, I have a silhouette. You can see my waist.
Lift EX is Sono Bello's breakthrough 360-degree body lift alternative. Our body contouring experts sculpt, tighten, and lift your stomach, waist, thighs, and backside, all in just one visit with less downtime.
Sono Bello targeted the areas diet exercise could not do. I found me again.
Sono Bello has over 50,000 five-star reviews, and Lift EX is exclusively available at Sono Bello, America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist. Book your free, personalized consultation today. Easy monthly plans make your best body more affordable than ever.
This year is my year thanks to Sono Bello.
Call Sono Bello for your free consultation today.
If you still have bad breath by lunchtime, your mouthwash isn't working. Smart Mouth is the only mouthwash that prevents bad breath for 24 hours. This is the only mouthwash I recommend. Upgrade your mouthwash to Smart Mouth today and never have bad breath again.
Meet Will Markham, a true American hero. This decorated veteran earned the Silver Star.
I had more weight on me. I was in such extreme pain. I was drinking more. I was taking more pain pills. But when I started using Hempana, it was literally like a miracle. There's no more anxiety. There's no more anger. There's no more pain. It's an incredible product.
Hempana is now available at Walmart and on Amazon with free shipping with an annual donation supporting the Patriot Fund. Go to Walmart or Amazon.
Welcome back. New York Times confirming what we have known for a long time. Act Blue, the Democrat Party's major fundraising apparatus, is loaded with fraud. Internal documents show Act Blue executives and staff were aware that both foreign and domestic fraudulent actors were exploiting their platform. And then once knowing that, they didn't try to bring it out. They tried to hide it. Act Blue's training guide for fraud prevention employees, the people that they hired to try and look for fraud, instructed them to look for reasons to accept a contribution rather than flagging suspicious donations. Isn't this in sync with everything you know about this party at this point? In 2023, Act Blue remained adamant in front of Congress that they carried out multi-layered screenings of contributions that helped root out foreign donations, which are illegal. It appears that was a lie. Matt Schlapp, the CPAC chairman, joins us now. Act Blue has hauled in $19 billion in 20 years. We've known this is crooked as hell. I mean, I wonder where so much of that money, especially in foreign donations, has come from, because it's come from a lot of places that are against this country.
Let's remember, these are the very same people that say we shouldn't have voter ID, even though every other democracy on the globe has it. This is a movement that believes there's no objective truth. There's no such thing as something that's true and something that's false. Why would it surprise us that people want to burn down cities, want to have massive voter fraud, and this is how they fund it? How is it the left seems to have the monetary advantage at the super uber rich level, all the way down to like the $10 donor? They swamp us each and every cycle, and a lot of us have been raising the alarms that there's no way in small dollar donations that this elite left is beating us. There's just no way.
No, there's not. The smurfing is the other accusation, which is splitting or disguising larger donations through small contributions. We know this has been happening. We've seen the story of the little old lady that donated to Act Blue 6,000 times last year, but had no idea it was happening. Again, with almost every single thing that we catch the left in, whether it's voter integrity, whether it's ballot boxes, voter ID. I mean, these people, they're corrupted. It's as simple as that. I don't care what they say. You see it every single time you look into something like this. You see how they're working. You see how they're operating. They will stop at nothing to win. And the agendas that they are working for are wholly anti-American. They've gone full open border. This is a fully corrupted party, top to bottom.
Yeah, so the end justifies the means for the left, which has no religion, no God, no truth. So anything they do that results in them getting more power, they're going to justify. But there's one thing here we're not talking about. If Act Blue is as corrupted as their own lawyers now say could be the case, and I'll let the truths, we should all follow the truth here.
Yeah.
This means foreign actors, Rob, foreign actors can go through this website to pollute our politics. And it also means if you combine the fact that we have this way to throw in a bunch of money, billions of dollars into our politics, combine that with the bad voter list, with all the ballots that get sent through the mail, and it takes money to have a system to send those ballots back in. If you put all this together, that is the definition of a coup. We are better than this. We are smarter than this. And the left is trying to make it so that there is no rules-based immigration, no rules-based voting. And we've got to stop it, or we're not going to have a country.
Yeah, and again, when they're fighting so hard against voter ID, show them this story. I mean, it's so outrageous what they claim and the behavior that they exhibit. Before I let you go, Pam Bondi out as Attorney General. Trump posting that we love her, but she's transitioning to a new job. So she got the boot here. I imagine it had something to do with the inability to go after a lot of the people that came after Trump. I also imagine it had something to do with the Epstein rollout, which was bad as well. Your thoughts on this and who should get the job?
Well, first of all, we had Todd Blanche at CPAC, and I was able to sit down with him on an interview that's on X. People should go look at it because a lot of people don't know a lot about him. He's an incredibly competent lawyer who's been helping run the department. The Deputy Attorney General actually runs the day-to-day of the department. And then they've got several other people on the squad like Harmeet Dillon, who are great, Dave Warrington, the White House counsel, Jim Jordan, the great crusader. Just don't want them to pick Mike Lee because I feel like he needs to stay in the United States Senate. But look, this is a tough job. Don't be surprised if we have a couple more attorneys general. I think giving this a year and a half, it's back-breaking, sleepless work. And Pam, I know, did all she could in an almost impossible situation. The president understands that too.
Yeah. Matt Schlapp from a room I wish I had in my house. Good to see you, Matt. Thanks so much.
There's dead things here, Rob.
That's a nice room. All right. A left-wing mayor again tries to explain the removal of a mural to a slain woman. Up next.
It was distorted by an erroneous tweet by our president, and then a movement was funded by some right-wing billionaires.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 92 years of age with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, neither of us have any kind of sickness, and we're as flexible as we were 30 years ago, and we still do the physical things we did 30 years ago. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you. You won't believe it. Immuno 150 is an awesome nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it.
Yes, it really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order online or call the number listed on the screen, but don't place your order until after you've watched the 3 videos on our website. Thank you from both of us, and God bless.
Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America. Most investors believe their IRA, 401k, and bank accounts are reliable and safe. But what if our economy becomes so dire that you're restricted from accessing your own money? The fact is that should your bank be in trouble for holding bad loans, the burden could fall on you to help bail them out. Even more concerning is that U.S. financial regulations allow banks to impose withdrawal limits on your hard-earned savings. But there's something you can do about it. Our team at Swiss America has a report called The Secret War on Cash. Learn how to protect yourself with assets that can remain outside the control of banks and other financial institutions. For over 40 years, Swiss America has been one of the most trusted metal firms in the country. So don't wait. Call or text the number on your screen today for financial peace of mind in these uncertain times.
Some wireless companies say that they stand for something. What exactly do they stand for, and why won't they say it out loud? Let me tell you what Patriot Mobile stands for. They stand for the lives of the unborn. They stand for the Second Amendment and the right to protect yourself and your family. They stand for our veterans and first responders who sacrifice so much for our freedom. Make the switch to Patriot Mobile today and support a company that doesn't just say they stand for something, but one that stands for the things that matter the most.
I'm Arthur Lee, inventor and CEO of LifeVac, but most importantly, I'm a dad first.
Over 10 years ago, I watched my dad design and build the first life vac in our garage. Now, that device has saved thousands of lives.
The life vac saved my life in 1-2 seconds.
It's a device that saved my son's life.
A choking accident can happen anywhere. Order your life vac now.
Don't wait another minute. A life might depend on it. Go to lifevac.net or call 877-543-3822.
Time now for news from the left, a story that I just can't really get past. Providence Mayor Brett Smiley once again slamming the mural, the now destroyed mural that would have honored Irina Zarutska. Irina was the young woman brutally stabbed to death on that Charlotte, North Carolina light rail. That's her entering the train right there. Remember, she sits down right in front of the career criminal DeCarlos Brown Jr. The video was one of the worst I've ever seen. I watched it in its entirety. It's just terrible. In a city where it became fashionable to let criminals roam free, just gets stabbed right in the neck, bleeds out right there on the floor, nobody helping her, enraging. Here's that mayor up in Providence to the north, his most recent comments with a local CBS affiliate in Rhode Island about why he decided to dishonor her to such a level.
I regret the state of where we are in politics today, where absolutely everything is political and controversial and hard. It was distorted by an erroneous tweet by our president, and then a movement was funded by some right-wing billionaires. There was really angry protests on both sides, a lot of hate speech online. And so I don't think we're a stronger, more united community because of this mural, and I thought the best thing to do was to just take it down.
Yeah, guy's a piece of garbage. Let's show the picture here. Here's Mayor Smiley, full tilt after George Floyd, trying to divide this country as much as humanly possible. He doesn't want divisive things to happen in this country, but he's okay with this one because it's divisive in his direction. He claims he didn't force Irina's mural down either, which is a flat-out lie. He leaned on the bar that had it up. By the way, it was on the side of a gay bar, and he leaned on that bar until they eventually took it down, and now he's claiming he did nothing. Trash. Bad people. Next up, Mamdani really has his priorities straight. The mayor of New York rolling out a $250,000 anti-catcalling ad campaign. Subways, ferries, construction sites. The crackdown to end street harassment running through this month of April, showing dozens of posters and digital ads featuring phrases like, "Hey, baby," or "Hey, sexy." I don't think that's really the problem that we're seeing usually with when you defund the police guys come in. We see a lot of death, like the little baby in the stroller that got shot yesterday. He's worried about somebody screaming, "Hey, sexy," at a pretty girl walking down the street. Mamdani's priorities are as ridiculous as he is. New York City Parks Department now pushing DEI courses, even though there are issues with staffing and a $33 million budget cut. Washington Free Beacon, the department instructs its supervisors to be anti-racist activists who police microaggressions and promote conversations about race in the workplace. And if that wasn't enough, Mamdani is packing City Hall with dozens of aides for his pet projects, demanding 79 more staffers at a total cost of $10 million. Job listings include an enforcer of economic justice, a pair of World Cup managers, and a special advisor to the advocacy community. The economic justice enforcer, by the way, that job comes with a $200,000 salary. And finally, Bruce Springsteen ending his career as a Trump-obsessed, neurotic old man.
We are here in celebration and defense of our American ideals, democracy, our Constitution, and our sacred American promise. The America that I've written about for 50 years that's been a beacon of hope and liberty around the world is currently in the hands of a corrupt, incompetent, racist, reckless, and treasonous administration.
Little rant there from Bruce. The president firing back at the boss and all of that plastic surgery, calling him a dried up prune. Up next, Hollywood fading fast.
You know Rob Finnerty. He's smart, bold, and stands strong for your values. Rob is fighting for you. Watch Finnerty weeknights only on Newsmax.
Americans have lost billions of dollars in their retirement accounts during the dot-com bubble of 2000.
And inflation is only getting worse.
Patriot Gold Group just introduced our America 250 Inflation Protection No Fee for Life IRA.
I'm sure glad Eileen and I rolled over our IRAs into gold in 2019.
On Wall Street, there's a saying, sell in May, and go away.
My saying is, call the Patriot Gold Group today.
Give Patriot Gold Group a call at 1-800-778-4156.
Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold and silver dealer nationwide. The only firm nationwide where you, the client, work directly with an owner. Home of the No Fee for Life IRA. Patriot Gold Group is patriots protecting patriots.
Call now. 1-800-778-4156.
Doctors say having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care and pharmacy at home. Let me bring in Dr. McCullough to explain more.
Most people know when they're getting sick, but waiting to see a doctor is often too late.
So the key is having medicines before you need them.
Yes, and it includes doctor-prescribed medicines to treat common and serious issues like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, antibiotics, antivirals for flu, pneumonia, strep, ear and sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
So it is like having an urgent care at home.
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications and hospitalizations.
How do you know what to take?
Just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Great advice. I understand ordering is fast online, and we've put the website and $45 off code on the screen. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
Mike Hammond here, founder of Signal Relief. Meet Dr. Beth Dupree, breast cancer surgeon for over 35 years.
In my surgical career, I have treated thousands of patients, and finding effective pain relief has always been a priority. Believe me, I was skeptical, but Signal Relief caught my attention because it actually works. Clinical trials show over 85% of participants felt relief within 72 hours, with nearly half noticing a significant difference in just 15 minutes. Just place it near or above wherever you have the pain, whether it's your back, your shoulder, your neck, or your knee. Signal Relief Patch brings proven relief. I recommend it to my patients, family, and friends, and I get to witness and experience their pain relief firsthand, and that brings a smile to my face.
Join the hundreds of thousands who have experienced relief with the Signal Relief Patch, and it comes with a money-back guarantee. Trust Dr. Dupree and me. The patch works.
For pain in multiple spots like here, here, or here, Salonpas patches stick firmly and remove comfortably once your pain is gone. Salonpas. It's good medicine.
The Reverend George Whitfield has arrived from England to awaken the colonies.
My friends, do you want to be free?
We cannot let the sun set on this nation.
A Great Awakening. Rated PG-13.
Finally tonight, Hollywood collapsing in real time. Wall Street Journal reporting they're making significantly fewer movies and television shows in Hollywood than they did just a few years ago, and the ones they do make increasingly being shot in other countries and states that offer more generous tax subsidies. Doesn't it make sense yet, California? Don't you get it? The result, a 30% drop in employment, and they keep voting Democrat. Infinity's next. See you tomorrow.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.